All right, I'm going to try to just roughshot a bulleted list. Quick reference so that you don't have to search through a bunch of videos from different times of passages to look up to affirm Assad of the Al-Wahash family. It's Arabic for the beast. Folks, this is not difficult. Church folks, wake up. There's literally a guy on Israel's northern border right now called the beast. The beast in destruction and of destruction. Son of destruction. Indeed. Right there on the northern border. And the blindness is mortifying. Really, it is in every way death and not life. And so I'm going to give you a bulleted list here, some quick references. Micah 5, the ruler from Bethlehem, Messiah, comes to defeat the Assyrian, again from the north. Hashtag the north. Isaiah 10, 13, 14, 30 and 31. He is in assorted passages called the Assyrian, the king of Babylon. Bab-el, or Bab-el, means the door to God, the Canaanite pantheon of deities in Syria. So when we talk Babel, confusion, and the mixing and the minglings of things that the Father separated in the beginning, hashtag in the beginning and hashtag from the beginning, the confusion or the mixing or the reversals or the twistings or the bendings of those things taught to us from wicked principalities above is what should be at the very frontlets of our eyes when we hear that term Babel. Babel to the north, not over in the east. Principally, again, Syria, not over in Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon, but the king of the north. We know who the door is, and that's where the testimony, not only in your canons, but also in the Dead Sea Scrolls, affirmed in the Dead Sea Scrolls and testimony of Enoch about doors and windows and gates, and the comes right out of Messiah's mouth and in Matthew and whatnot when he speaks of doors and or gates and knocking. This is very important. I'm going to share about that in a little while, but also called the oppressor in Isaiah. Again, Isaiah 14, the Hillel ben Shachar, which is in falsely superimposed with Lucifer over the top of it. It is a reference to the son of the crescent. In Hebrew, of course, it's a bright shining crescent, the crescent horns, which you see in so many of the reliefs in Syria and to the north and in the imagery and whatnot. And one of the names, by the way, you'll look up the definition of Hillel ben Shachar, son of the dawn, or bright dawn. One of the names of Assad was the Syrian dawn. Again, not difficult. And he destroys down in about verse 16 and 18 through 18 in chapter 14 in Isaiah. He destroys his own land and people before he leaves his thicket, as Jeremiah states in Jeremiah 4 and 5, to go and lay waste Israel's land and, of course, Israel's allies. So if you're thinking you're going to sit over here in the West and Donald Trump is going to protect you, hit the words out of Donald's mouth. He has already deferred to Assad of Syria in fulfillment of my words prior to it coming to pass and the words of many others. He has already basically capitulated Syrian tyranny and stepped back a little bit. And then, of course, we need to pray for Donald. We need to pray for this is not some thing to undermine a dignitary. We are commanded as believers to pray for our dignitaries. The heart of the king is indeed in our Father's hand. Right now I'm in the presence of a small group. I've spoken to groups of hundreds and groups of thousands in singular sittings. Home groups, prisons. Love to teach at the prisons where people are hungry for the word and not fat and happy. Been on radio, KTLW network owned by Pastor Jack Hayford's church back in the early 2000s, run by a man by the name of Gary Curtis. Had a 1 minute quick profound prophecy update, a blurb, if you will. It was aired in the middle of Kirk Cameron's program that he started out on the radio. I can't remember the name of it. Anybody remember that?
Way of the Master.
Way of the Master, yeah. It was right there and aired during that. And been on a lot of television interviews and radio interviews and stuff like that, sharing what I'm sharing with you tonight. And I say that not to boast, but I know that sometimes people want to know something is firm. My name is well known in prophecy circles, hated by some, and that's all right. I am teaching truth regarding Syria, and soon every eye will see that. You can't get away from it. He's coming to right on the bottom of your ticket tape on Fox News. The words you're hearing tonight, you'll see it while you're seated, at ease even. And so, in keeping with the quick reference, in Psalms 83, it is the Assyrian, Ashur, down in about verse 8, that helps the descendants of Lot, and of course dividing up the land. According to 1967 borders, is that thing counting?
Yeah, it's going
good. According to the hashtag 1967 borders, which will include the West Bank, Jerusalem divided, and of course the Golan Heights, that strategic flashpoint where they are having the little tit for tats exchanges, especially even recently. Go back and look at that 2005 video, I think it was, when I started sharing about that. I had done so before, but where I had the short beard and the jacket at that Assembly of God church, and you'll see it, of course, coming to pass on your televisions and looking devices. Also, I should say, it is the embodiment of vanity to think that what's going on in Syria will not have worldwide ramifications. Indeed, the Assyrian removes the boundaries of the peoples. And through the ancient practice of Syrian population displacement, it's really like he's transplanting, grafting wild, broken off branches into his foul, bad, filthy tree that's cut off at the root. That's what's happening. He's taking an Iranian and giving him Syrian citizenship, and a Lebanese Hezbollah and doing the same. And he's building a kingdom of his own dysfunction and disorder, being a son of destruction, both in it and on it, and of it. Prepositional phrases are important. And he sits right there like the cat, Al-Assad in Arabic, the lion, on the perch in the western part of the city, while he decimates the Homs and Aleppo and the eastern part of his own city in fulfillment of my words for this generation. So, in Psalms 83, in that confederacy of Islamic nations, it is Assyria that is singled out at the end, and about verse 8, to help align against Israel. And
Children of Lot.
The children of Lot, that's absolutely correct. And the Edomites and the Moabites and the Ammonites, all there, of course, Transjordan area, modern-day Palestinians. So that's Psalms 83. Jeremiah chapter 4, the lion from the north, where the Father brings hashtag the Northern Army, or Northern Army, hashtag Northern Army, a great destruction from the north. And, of course, in chapter 5, Jeremiah, the lion and the wolf, of course. An evening wolf. Well, now, what luminary do you suppose a wolf is focused on? Well, of course, the howling at the moon. The light wanes in the west and it rises in the east and waxes great. We are to be looking to the east for that lion of Yehuda or Judah. In the east, according to, I guess, Numbers, Numbers chapter 2, verse 3, in the east of the tabernacle, where the light waxes, for that root of David, that seed of David according to the flesh, the Son of God according to the Spirit, and the bright and morning star. He is indeed bright, and not a waning crescent in the west. where all luminaries wane and go down and fade. And folks, to be clear, when the president of the country, and again, I'm for him, not against him. We need to pray for him. He's in a hard position. He's up against a strong man, several strong men in the East. And we need to pray for him to have wisdom. He is a brother, and he has a Father in heaven. But when he speaks about the division of Jerusalem, do understand that is a decree against the Father's instructions. We know that it will happen. The Father says so. And that is the light waning in the West, which it does both daily and yearly in every regard. And so the idea that we're going to be sitting here vainly watching through our 5-inch screens or on our LCD screens and LED screens and flat panels and stuff and not be affected by it like we're watching some Netflix is the embodiment of vanity and deceit, and it's conceited. And it does and will have consequences both in your body and on your body, as many hearts fail them when calamity ensues. And it is a double portion. The Father's watching how we behave. Excessive consumerism, just will not cease. The continual demand for more entertainment, more frivolous nonsense. Will have effects when that basic fundamental things are taken from us as our cities are destroyed, and of course our storehouses are emptied. Ezekiel chapter 28, he is the Prince of Tyre, that is Lebanon. What are some recent headlines we've seen about Tyre?
Hezbollah moved a base over to Tyre.
Yep, Hezbollah recently moved a base over to Tyre, and the Syrian, also called the Prince of Tyre, and of course the king of Tyre is the adversary mentioned in Ezekiel chapter 8 as well, who will give him power to continue for 42 months as there's a battle in heaven, and the host of heaven, which according to Jeremiah chapter 8 and other passages, the armies of heaven, according to Jeremiah 8, the fallen governors of Judah and Jerusalem, of course, will worship. Again, this will be a grand delusion as the beings are cast out of the heavens above, Hashemayim, to earth, and all of these things transpiring against the backdrop of the covenant with death, hashtag covenant with death, and the dividing of the land of the Father above, commanded us not to divide. And according to the 1967 borders, Golan Heights, West Bank, and of course Jerusalem divided. Ezekiel 38 and 39, the Gog of Magog passages, many Christian circles, and I even saw a report recently. Well, it's been a couple years now, from I think the Jerusalem Post. It was an advertisement that the Father is even waking up people over there pertaining to the Gog of Magog. Magog is the barbarous region, again, to the north, directly to the north, not in Turkey, but again, directly to the north, and right on up to the north in the heavens, where the Father brings where the Father brings disaster. He brings it down right through Russia, north, right on through Turkey, Syria, the head of that rebellion, right on down into the southern Levant or Negev, right up to the neck even of Jerusalem, to sift the nations with a sieve of destruction, like boiling indignation for what we as a people have done with His commandments and His good instructions, which we do well to heed. And if we are in an environment, we find ourselves in an environment, a country, a boundary, a temporary establishment of sorts, where we are governed by leaders that are walking headlong toward that destruction, your best bet is to open your mouth and speak, and not be a treacherous daughter of Babel and secretive and thinking that you're going to have comfort in numbers. There will be no comfort in your synagogue. There will be no comfort in your church, no comfort in your mosque, because the Father has ordained the axe in his hand to lay waste everything that is called God or that is worshipped. And that includes all the brick and mortar of Babel. And again, heed these words. They are firm, but indeed given to you in love. Don't be afraid of me. I mean, some days I have trouble getting up. And but one thing is for certain, I am absolutely, concretely, positively not going to be silent. And the reason being is because, like I stated earlier, it does have a warning associated with it. We have to speak up, or the blood that is shed will be required of us. In Daniel 7, the little horn, whose appearance, Daniel 7 and verse 8 and Daniel 7 and verse 20, he is described as the little horn whose appearance is larger than his associates. And of course, having insight into eyes, vision, or sight. And the mind's eye here is the eye in the middle. This is a picture of the body of Messiah, friends. There's two positive, proper testimony given by two witnesses. And then there's above that, invisible to the eyes, is one head, is it not? A faithful and true singular witness in the heavens, beyond the veil of the flesh. And so this is something every day when you look in the mirror, you can see a testimony of a perfected body. Even you can look through the wrinkles and the things heading south, and you can see the picture of the body of Messiah. He is not visible. He is seated as a faithful and true witness in every way above and not beneath, a head in every way and not a tail, which is the word Rosh. Fire?
Not that bad a one.
Thunder? Thunder? What was I saying?
Seated right hand of the Father.
Who? What? Messiah is
Son of
seated.
Man.
Thank you.
The Son of Man.
Did I say the right hand of the Father?
Yeah, he's at the right hand.
He is seated above and not
Oh,
beneath.
yeah, he is above and not below. He is a head and not a tail. So when we look to the east, where the light waxes, grows great, and not wanes, I mean, you go outside and see this every day. That is where Messiah comes from. And, of course, presently, he's run his race, and his portion is finished, and seated at the right hand of the Father. When facing east, the right hand, Benjamin, oddly enough, the present governor of Jerusalem, is Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and that is when facing east. The right hand is, of course, the south, the son of the right hand, and left is, of course, the willful king of the north. Again, all coordinates facing east, which is where Messiah comes from. Now, if we want to turn our back to Messiah, you don't do that with a king, by the way. If we want to turn our back, we face west to the quarter of diminution, where all luminaries wane. We stand indeed facing darkness, as Judaism teaches us to do, to a luminary that is departing while saying to ourselves, light is near. When in fact, not only are we facing the darkness in the west, not complete and total outer darkness, but the diminishing of the light. It's a certain, it's a dysfunction in every way to put darkness for light, evil for good, and of course, bitter for sweet. And we have all done that. We've twisted and bent proper testimony, and he is indeed making those crooked paths straight. So the little horn has insight into eyes. He's an ophthalmologist. And his appearance is larger than his associates. Big boy. In Daniel chapter 8, again, the little horn, he destroys, but not by his own power. And he is described in various translations as a stern-faced king of fierce countenance. Hashtag stern-faced king, hashtag king of fierce countenance. In Daniel 11, he is, of course, the king of the north. Zaphon the word north in Hebrew, referencing not only Latakia, Syria, the region of Jebel al-Akra,
Yeah.
which is where he is stationed, his family's from. Kardaha, I believe, if I remember correctly, Latakia, Laodicea, Syria. And right on down to the whole of the northern Levant. Zaphon, which in the Ugaritic is a reference to Saphon, Mount Hermon, and that's what's going to lead into the videos that I'm going to be sharing with you, or the text that I'm going to be sharing, which I've not shared yet. Talking about these supernatural things that we're going to see, all connected to the Golden Heights. That's where the 33rd parallel is. It's where you get 33rd degree Masons and things of that nature. The architect of the ages and stuff like that. In Joel, the Father brings forth the Northern Army. Hashtag Northern Army. What time is it? Oh, good call. Thank you. In John 10, the wolf. 2 Thessalonians, the son of destruction, son of perdition, man of sin, man of lawlessness. Revelation, of course, the beast. Assad is from, of course, the Arabic family Al-Wahash, meaning the beast in Arabic. And they changed the name to the lion, or Al-Assad, in, of course, fulfillment of the texts. 1 John 2:22, Antichrist. Messiah didn't come across the northern border on tanks, so or in aircraft and obliterate people. He did quite the opposite. Being a good shepherd, laid down his life for the sheep. But the hireling, when a wolf comes, he departs because he doesn't love the sheep. He's a hireling. How can he? And so we've got a wolf coming, and largely the hirelings in the brick and mortar are silent. Mum's the word. Not entirely, but overwhelmingly. It's a brief references, quick reference there for that.